Good morning. It is Wednesday, the 10th of July, I almost said. The 10th of January, 2024. And a winter has arrived. It's, man, it's rained really hard the last couple nights. A lot of wind last night, a lot of severe weather in the area. Um, no tornadoes where I'm at, but I'm sure there were somewhere in the area. Just hard winds blowing everything around, severe weather. So yeah, that's what happens in the winter. So what do you want? So kind of cold out there too, kind of nippy. So yeah, rain and coldness. That's what we get in the wintertime. Um, at least it ain't out there like in Nebraska or somewhere. They're getting snow and even like Missouri, the place is getting a lot of snow. So yeah, it ain't that. But so this morning we got a mystery game. If you can see here, it's from the Columbia game. It's not really a mystery game. It's a game that I bought at deep discount because the slipcover is gone. So it is what it is. I'll take it every time. I was interested in block. I haven't played a lot of block games lately. I like block games. I always have. From Napoleon, the Waterloo campaign, I played that recently, and I started getting into block games a little bit and wanting to play some. And I don't really like block games in modern warfare. Right? I don't. It doesn't feel right. I think it handles Napoleonics very well. I played a what was that? Waterloo Stratego, which kind of felt like I've played that not too long ago too. That kind of felt like a block game, a simple block game, but it felt like a block game. I thought it really handled it well. So I think blocks handle Napoleonics well, and I think they handle other battles as well. And this one here is Crusader Rex, right? So we're gonna look at it. Let me see if I can find the rules here. Crusader Rex, right? That was what the box cover looked like. I printed that rule book off just because I wanted it in color because I'm weird like that. But this is the original rule book, right? And if you can't get excited about the Third Crusade, obviously the Third Crusade, Richard the Lionheart, you can't really get excited about any of them, right? Anything almost. A lot of people ask me why do I like the period of the Crusades. I think it's an interesting period, right? Because you have Middle Ages is interesting, right? Because, but what you have the waning of a dynasty in the east, a waning of the old Roman dynasty, what would become the Byzantine, or what was the Byzantine dynasty, that old Eastern Roman Empire, which is just fledgling, and they're going to fledgle, and they're going to spurt and sputter all the way up until the fall of Constantinople in 1453, right? So they are sputtering where it's at now, and so what is it, 635? 635 or 630, yeah. Jerusalem, I don't want to say falls. It falls to the Muslims, but it doesn't really fall. They surrender it, right? And and for the better part of 400 years, uh, Muslims protected Christian sites and Christians themselves within the Jerusalem and within the Holy Lands. At the same time, you have Muslims coming through in 710, 711, coming to and conquering Spain between 711 and 720. And then, of course, getting turned back to the Battle of Tours. And but Spain is completely conquered. Well, most of Spain is conquered. It's never completely conquered. There's always a people here or there. But that's why so many words in Spanish come from the Arabic. I mean, so many, aceite, the word for oil, that comes from arroz, azúcar. A lot of words would start with the letter A come from the Arabic. Not all of them. Sometimes you'll falsely see all. They'll say all words that start with the letter A in Spanish come from the Arabic. It's not all. Not by sight, because you got words like amigo. It comes from the Latin, right? Amor, that comes from the Latin, right? So not all of them, but a bunch, and a bunch of words in general. And also they got the culture in Spain kind of changed, right? They eat a lot of rice in Spain, and that's why the Muslims brought rice with them. And one of the few European countries to eat the amounts of rice that they do. And also, the naming customs. It's been postulated that while it's not verboten to name kids after Jesus in Spanish, Jesus. That's Jesus. That's Jesus, and that was because so many Muslims named their children after Muhammad that the Spanish took to naming their kids after Jesus, right? So, and of course, that great period of, gosh, you have from 711 until 1492, you have, Muslims in some way, like some there within Spain, right? And you have so much great stories. El Poema de Mio Cid, right? You have a lot of El Cid was just great stories that come from that, and that's really where the beginnings of the Crusades. In a lot of ways, that's where the Pope starts sending armies. Different popes start sending different armies and different folks down there into Spain to help out the Spanish at times, and Sicily as well. Then in the 800s. Sicily's taken over by the Muslims. So, and the history I'm telling here is nothing, shouldn't be I'm not saying nothing out of school, and should be nothing offensive. Just about my best friend in the world is a Muslim, and we're very close, and we talk about these things without getting mad because we're looking for truth, right? And so, when it was in about 1009 is when an event happens in Jerusalem, or just outside Jerusalem, that completely freaks people out, the people in the West out, and that was the Caliph in Egypt. What he started going around taking down Christian holy sites and a lot of places, and the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, which at the time still is to some Christians the holiest place in all of Christianity, right? So when that was razed and burnt and took to the ground in 1009 by who was the Caliph? Al-Hakim, I think, from Egypt. Anyway, no matter. That was one of the big excuses that was used to raise armies later for the Crusades, and somewhat understandable, because today, if the United States bombed and razed the holiest site in Islam, Mecca, and took it, and man, that you think there wouldn't be a war? There certainly wouldn't, rightfully so. So it's somewhat understandable, and you have both sides really doing some really horrendous things. I mean, the Christians horrendous things, because you're sending people that well, we get into that too, but horrendous things, as well as the Muslims. No, I'm not. There's a lot of blame to go around on both sides, but even the Christians that once sacked, they sacked Constantinople their own selves. So it's just crazy. It's just crazy, the whole thing. And of course, setting up the Jerusalem, Kingdom of Jerusalem, or the Latin Kingdom of Jerusalem, or the Latin Kingdom, whatever you want to call it. Setting up Jerusalem, the Kingdom of Jerusalem there in about 1099 till about 1187, I think. I think that's probably the dates. I think that's right on. Right, and then it fallen for a time, and of course, the Third Crusade you have here wanting to get back Jerusalem. And that's why it's Crusader Rex. It's Richard the Lionhearted. And Richard, Lionhearted king of Richard the First of England, is an interesting king, right? He was raised in England, and spent his childhood in England, but he spends most of the rest of his life outside of England. He even sets up court in Aquitaine. That's where he dies. He's buried in France, right? So he spends more time in the Holy Lands in France than he does anywhere else in England. So he's away a lot. But so it's a very romantic stories with him. Time of Robin Hood, right? This crusade, all the romanticism of the Crusades is probably wrapped up in this one. If there were ever any romanticism to the Crusades, which we know that there wasn't, hard times and hard fighting and a lot of, but the storybook romances of the Crusades, if any of it was ever like it was, it would have been this one. And you had Richard the First versus Saladin, right? Two of the legendary figures on the other side, and then it turned out to be a stalemate because the Christians do not get Jerusalem. They will regain Jerusalem in what, 1224, 1226, something like that, and they'll keep it for a short time under Frederick II. But was that the Sixth Crusade? Yeah, I think so. But the Third Crusade, is a stalemate, right? The Christians don't take Jerusalem proper back, and the Saladin and the Muslims do not expel the Christians from the Holy Lands. So, very interesting time, very interesting period, and I want to see how it plays out. So I'm very excited to see this game as a block game. I want to see how it plays and how it feels. And introduction, what's he going to say? I've given a big introduction. I like the Middle Ages, right? I like that idea of 455, the sacking of Rome. Then by 500, really, or just after 500, really, the Middle Ages are really starting. The Dark Ages are starting in the West, at least. So all of that, just I like the period. So Crusader. Let's look at the introduction. Crusader Rex is a game covering the Third Crusade. Man, if you can't get excited about the Third Crusade, no matter who you are, you can find something to get excited about. Both sides do some interesting things in the Third Crusade. One player commands the Franks, and the other player commands the I can't ever say that word. The Muslim side is what we're going to say, but I can't. Sorry. Anyway, it's the Saladinian side, if you will, right? So that's the interesting thing, man. Very cool. Very cool. We'll look at there later. I'm going to look at the components. Look at the blocks. All right. Man, I like those orange blocks. They pop. Easy to see on a board. Just pinning on. Board looks like okay. A couple of 4 dots in there. Okay, very cool. Very cool. This looks like the Christian side. Well done, or the Franks, if you will. I'm not trying to make it a holy war. At all. I'm just trying to play a game. So, alright. Looks like Saladin's forces. Very cool. Both legendary commanders, right? Richard Lionheart and Saladin. And they fight to a stalemate. How kind of, I don't know if I want to say appropriate that is. Got some cards here. We'll look at those. Look at these cards. What are these cards for? No idea. I'll get the map out here in a minute. Again, I tend to like block games when I play them. I just don't play very many of them. Okay. That's randomizing for something. And then some cards. Mana. God. Jihad. Intrigue. Okay. Looks like some randomizing cards and some other cards. We'll look and see what that is. Alright. Now let's look at the map. Let's look at the map. Components. I like the components. Even though the map's not a mountain map, I like the feel of it. It's almost a nice card stock with laminate, feels like, of some sort on it. So, kind of, man, not a small one either, is it? Don't know if I was expecting the map to be that big, but it is. It's not huge, but it's big enough. Okay. If we're going to look at the Near East, let's look at it from this angle. I think it's probably the best way. All right. Have Jerusalem. Acre up there. That's, they take, what is it here? I guess the Crusader side takes Jaffa, ancient Joppa, in the Third Crusade. But yeah. If you go look in the back of your Bible, that's the map you always see. Galilee, which is many times called the Sea of Galilee, but it's a freshwater lake. Then Lake Hula up here, which is no longer there. It's been drained, and this is now the Hula Valley. Spent a lot of time up in northern Israel. And so beautiful up there, especially around the Hula Valley and just all the farmland and everything. You get down here and it looks, even around Jerusalem, it looks just almost desert, right? And you start getting to the south, it is desert, right? Mediterranean here. Okay, so yeah, this is what we're dealing with. We got Antioch up yonder there. So yeah. Cool. Very cool, very cool. All right, it works. Let's look at the rules. Let's look at some of the rules here, and then we can be done and wrap this up, I guess. And by the way, if there's a block game that any of y'all have, that y'all know that would that you could recommend, please do. Recommend it down in the comments because, I mean, you know, again, I tend to like block games, but I just haven't played a ton of them. Game turns. You got, the game is played in a series of 6 years, starting in 1187. Very cool. Within each year are 6 game turns. Okay. Each game turn has 4 phases played in the sequence given. Card phase, okay. Both players start every year with 6 cards. Each game turn, they both play 1 card face down. The cards are then revealed to determine play order. Oh, okay, I got you. Gotcha. That's kind of cool. A move phase, player 1 completes all movement and player 2 then moves. Battle phase, battles, sieges are resolved one by one in the order chosen by player 1. And then the draw phase, both players draw 1 block from their draw pool except during 1187. All right, yeah. Reinforcements, I guess. I wonder how they. The things I liked about any of these games, any ancient game really, and I know it's Middle Ages, but it's still kind of an ancient game in the sense that it's sieges. I like to see how sieges are handled, right? I guess one of the reasons I haven't played a ton of block games is because you really do need another opponent, right? You can solo it. I have in Napoleon, the Waterloo campaign, but just not as fun. There's this hidden information, and so all right. So I just how sieges are handled and how combat's handled. If you get those 2 things right, or have them feeling somewhat right, then I think you get a game like this down. That's right. Okay. Combat deployment, combat turns. Okay. Eliminated blocks. Siege combat. Unlike field battles, which end after 3 combat rounds. Very, very interesting. Sieges may continue for several game turns. Absolutely. Absolutely, that should be that way. The besieger may remain on siege after the 3 combat rounds. Sieges cannot occur at towns. At towns rated no zero, no shield, only field battles. Siege combat can occur in 3 ways. Existing sieges, new siege if the defender does not deploy any blocks in a field battle. Very well. When a field battle ends victorious, attacking blocks may begin siege combat next combat round. Sieges require a siege declaration at the beginning of each combat round. Besieger first. Okay, cool. Yeah, that sounds okay. Sounds okay. Sounds pretty okay. Okay, that's the game, man. Crusader Rex. You played it. Let me know. Let me know what to look out for, not to look out for. I'm excited about it. I'm gonna spend the next couple of days getting to play it, going over it, and then I'm gonna play it on Saturday, right? And so hopefully I find it looks good so far. So hopefully I find it to be a good game, and maybe I'll get some more block games. Again, recommend any block games down in the comments, and I'll try to pick them up and see. The only reason I got this one, deep discount, man. Without that slipcover, deep discount, I'm fine with that. All right, y'all. Thank you. Y'all have a great New Year. Stay warm. Stay safe out there in case there's a tornado around your area. Or maybe you're in snow. Man. Ooh. Haven't seen snow here for a while. A good while. So we'll see. I'll talk to you later. You be good. And see you next week, if all is well. Bye-bye, y'all.